Get ready for several changes to our weather pattern, including more rain, some lightning potential, and a dip in temperatures. So I hope you enjoyed today's warm-up, even with the added smoke from a couple of prescribed burns. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast for Central Oregon, and we're going to basically break down what's been happening, what's going to happen, and what you can expect really all the way through the weekend and further out. And today started off sunny and chilly, and across the high desert, clouds have started to develop and roll in, but we also see a lot more haze, even some smoke from a couple of prescribed burns. There are two new prescribed burns outside of the one near Lapine and the other one that was up near Camp Sherman. And across the high desert, that Bachelor camera overlooking Tumalo Mountain and Bend, you can see a whole lot of smoke across Central Oregon. And it's hazy in each one of these cameras, but more specifically, when we look at that Pine Mountain camera, we can see one of the prescribed burns, and this is the burn that's just west of Bend, and it was a big one. But as we go ahead and just focus in on that camera and set up the time lapse, what we see is it's starting earlier this afternoon. A really tall smoke plume really started developing just because of how much they were burning, and it's really still sticking with us here even through this evening, and we are expecting areas of reduced and even poor air quality potentially. And right now the hourly average is good for most of the Tri-County area except for right around Sisters. Remember, Sisters is actually getting a double dose. There was a prescribed burn just south of Sisters, and winds are coming out of the south and southeast right into the Santiam Pass. So all that smoke from just west of Bend is pushing up there, as well as also coming into parts of the greater Bend area. So let's go ahead and just focus on where some of these different burns were. And when we just go ahead and look at the map across the entire Tri-County area, we can still see that the one just northeast of Lapine, 5 miles northeast of Lapine, continues to produce a little bit of smoke, as well as the one that's just west of Bend and the one in Sisters. But when we get a little closer, we do see that the one just west of Bend was 450 acres. The one south of Sisters was 84 acres. Now I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to pull in a different forecast model, and this one specifically deals with smoke. So we're going to take a moment and just look at it. There are several prescribed burns across the entire state, but more specifically the ones that we're focusing on are the ones in Central Oregon. There's one just south of Central Oregon that his winds are going to be out of the south that could kick some smoke our way as well. But here through the rest of this evening, some of that reduced air quality is expected, and then overnight we see winds start to taper off. At first they're 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting at 20, coming out of the northwest, so that's going to kick a lot of that smoke south. Then that smoke starts to settle in across the high desert, so we could be waking up to even some poor air quality for parts of the Tri-County area. After that, our next system starts to roll in, brings more rain and helps clear the air, but we could be looking at some poor air quality to start the day tomorrow. Now, satellite and radar. There's not much happening over our Tri-County area, just more clouds have been rolling in outside of that smoke, but it went ahead and zoomed out. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in, take a better look at something, because to the southwest of our Tri-County area, there are scattered showers. A few of these cells have been producing some lightning. Now, we have not seen any shower activity develop over south central Oregon, but it's still going to be possible. So here through the next couple of hours, a few of these showers could make it into central Oregon. Most of it, however, stays west of the Cascades and through the mountains, and there's going to be some lightning associated with those cells. So that's something we're continuing to track, as well as the increase in clouds across our high desert. But those clouds are moving southwest to northeast and general south to north flow, and we don't see anything to our south that's catching my eye on radar just yet, but we are going to continue to track it. So looking at the bigger picture, there are a couple things that we're focusing on. This is the enhanced infrared satellite, and I have pressure lines on there. There are isobars. Where you start to see these lines get closer together, that's where winds are stronger, and we could really see some convection over southwestern Oregon where those thunderstorms are. Also moving into central Oregon, we haven't seen too much in the way of precipitation there, but when we look at the bigger picture, along the tail end of this cold front that's just offshore, a low pressure is developing off the California coastline. This is going to roll inland, and this is going to redevelop as another low. That's going to be what brings us more precipitation starting tomorrow during the afternoon and evening hours. After that, it gets breezy, it gets cool. There's a chance of some thunderstorm activity, but for today, look at this. this. Temperatures topped out in the 60s with a few 70s. There are still a couple 50s on the map, and as of right now, this is where we're ranging, 59 in Sisters to 71 in Warm Springs. So that actually puts us several degrees warmer than it was even just 24 hours ago. We're running between 2 and 9 degrees warmer. Now, here's a look at one of our forecast models. And you know what, we're going to come back to that because I do want to mention that with this low pressure that's moving in, pumping moisture into our neck of the woods through the day Friday, there is a chance of some thunderstorm activity. So let's look at that first and we'll come back to this model. So here through this afternoon and evening, most of the red that you see here, that isolated to scattered thunderstorm activity, stays on the other side of the Cascades. Now what that means for us is we're not exactly looking at much in the way of any lightning or much in the way of rain either here through the rest of this evening. By tomorrow, we start to see a reset. So by 11 p.m., a lot of that thunderstorm activity west of the Cascades starts to fizzle out. By Friday, that next system starts to impact us. And notice we have some very faint red here just south of Deschutes County at noon. Showers start up during the afternoon hours, and as they develop even more, some of that potential thunderstorm activity could be rolling into our Tri-County area. So that is something we're continuing to track on Friday, and there's another chance of it on Saturday. But let's go ahead and get back to the changing weather pattern graphic. This is a graphic that utilizes geopotential heights, and it just shows us where the focus points are, specifically where our low pressure is here. Winds coming out of the south and southeast during the day on Friday, swinging around to the northwest. And so temperatures are going to be slightly lower, highs in the 60s for most, not too much in the way of 70s. If we do get that additional warming to bump us up into the 70s, that's when the chance of thunderstorm activity is going to be higher. By Saturday, slightly cooler, 60s and a few 50s, still breezy and still getting a little wet. With those showers, we are looking at off and on showers through the day and periods of clearing even, and winds are still going to be gusty for most. By Sunday, start to clear out. Still gusty for many of us, but highs in the 60s with some 50s. Sunday will be our coolest day out of the next 7, and I actually bumped these temperatures up from where they were sitting yesterday just because it doesn't look like this next system is going to bring as much cooling as the model guidance was showing and hinting at the last couple of days. So it is something we're continuing to track. During the next 24 hours, there is a chance of showers Friday afternoon and evening, but with that chance of rain, it's going to be first isolated, then scattered, and then becoming widespread by the evening hours. With that chance of rain, there is a risk of thunderstorm activity, but by Sunday we start to turn it around. Monday and Tuesday we do still stay in an unsettled weather pattern, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's look at another forecast model. This one's just going to show cloud cover as well as where we have the potential of precipitation. So there's our low way offshore. It's still developing. And then through the overnight hours, where we have showers and thunderstorms for the southwestern corner of the state and western Oregon, that's going to start to fizzle out. But even by 7 p.m., a few sprinkles could be making it into our neck of the woods. Then that system starts to roll inland. By Friday, we're looking at scattered rain, and where you're seeing the brighter colors, those yellows, those oranges, that's where we have the potential for a few thunderstorms. Then Saturday, it really starts to taper off. There's still a chance for rain. Winds are still going to be gusty, but by the afternoon and evening, we start to see some clearing with a little more sunshine by Sunday. And by Monday, our next warming trend begins. It just doesn't last too long. Looking at that long-range forecast model, starting off on Sunday at 11 p.m. after we've gotten a lot of that clearing. And then by Monday, in and out clouds are expected, but more PM cover in advance of another week's system. Monday night and Tuesday, a few sprinkles are possible, mostly a dry system, but by Wednesday, we're back to sunshine. By Thursday, a few afternoon and evening clouds, but a big warm-up is expected. So just to wrap this all up, we are looking at some widespread precipitation through the next 48 hours. More specifically, by Friday afternoon, we start to get some showers. Then it continues and just becomes widespread Friday evening and overnight. By Saturday, off and on showers continue. Notice not much in the way of snow. And a different forecast model, one that's not as high resolution, shows 0 chance of snow. So we are tracking all the different angles of this, but by Monday, we really start to dry out. So winds right now are about 2 to 12 miles per hour coming out of the east for the most part, but some of us southeast, some of us northeast, just funneling right into St. Anne Pass. And that's helping to, with some of the smoke from these prescribed burns, and it is gusty at times. But overall today, we weren't expecting much in the way of breezes at all. Now tonight, winds do swing around to the northwest and west, but tomorrow it starts to get gusty, specifically around the time that that next system is rolling into the region, and gusty winds at times just continue through Saturday, through Sunday. And so ultimately we are looking at getting wet. Breezy winds are expected, and there's a chance of some thunderstorm activity with a dip in temperatures. Tonight through the 40s, reaching into the 30s. Tomorrow 60s with a few 50s and 70s possible. We have that chance of some thunderstorm activity expected, and our 7-day planner shows that after that system rolls through, we start to clear out really on Sunday. Still gusty at times. By Monday, more afternoon and evening clouds are expected. Notice temperatures are bumping up at the beginning of next week. Slight dip in temperatures Tuesday with that next system. A few sprinkles possible, but by Wednesday and Thursday, we're really cranking up the heat well into the 70s, even some 80s possible by this time next week. So just to recap it for you, our headlines for this Thursday, April the 24th, a changing weather pattern is indeed in our forecast. More rain is expected, some lightning is possible, and we're cooling into this weekend. Now, looking past all of that, it looks like unseasonably warm conditions are expected. And hey, we need the rain because we have been in, when we look back to the last 30 days or so, there's been a deficit of rain compared to where we should be for this time of the year. It hasn't really impacted the drought monitor, but it is something we're continuing to track. So join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. In just a couple minutes, we'll be on ABC in advance of the draft, and then again after the draft, as well as at 11 p.m. on ABC. At CBS, similar time to what we normally have, 6 to 7, and then 7 to 8. One more quick rundown of your weather headlines. That's the latest in weather for now. We'll see you on air, and if there's anything else, I'll be updating you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. Do my best to get back to them and answer. Y'all have a good evening.